Ladies and gentlemen, the following is another phenomenal episode of the Wrestling Fans Podcast, Ringside Society. I'm your host, that ocean crossing, straight up bossing, flight catching, shot glass snatching, always moving, ready for battle, coming to you live from the rainy city, Seattle, the worldwide starboy, Remy Blue. But no, it's not about me. You see, we have for the first time a remarkable individual. That's right. We've been around as a brand for 10 years. We've been around as a podcast for 4 years, and we've had many um, remarkable people from all walks of life. We've had people from the Black and Brave Wrestling School. We've had people from the Nightmare Factory. We've had people from the Rhodes Wrestling Academy. Heck, we've even had a member of the Hart family on our show. But never, and I don't mean to quote The Rock, and I mean never have we ever had somebody that graduated from the reputable school that is known as the Fale Dojo in New Zealand. Everybody, welcome 2020 Fale Dojo Young Lions graduate, honorary Tongan, and adaptation specialist, Derrick Shaw. Derrick, how you doing tonight, man?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. That was awesome.
I try, man. I try vitamin water and lots of breathing, and then
There you
hopefully it sounds
go.
great or whatnot. Yeah. So I just got to say, it's an honor to have you on here. Thank you very much. Um, for actually doing. I mean, I tell you, your guy Charlie Avell, he knows how to book him, man. He knows how to pick him. When I hit up Charlie, I said Charlie, you know, the PNW, pretty much the whole West Coast, they're not getting any love. They're not getting any exposure. People are not really, finding out about them unless they get signed to like WWE or AEW or one of the big companies. I want to change that. Who do you recommend? One of the names he recommended was yours. So I was like, okay, let me go and see who this guy is. Boom. I saw the New Japan thing, Fale Dojo. I'm like, oh yeah, we gotta talk to this guy, man. We definitely gotta talk to this guy and see what's going on.
Yeah, man. I love Charlie. He's such a good guy.
Yeah, he was on our show 2 years ago when he graduated from Nightmare Factory, and we're like, yeah, let's talk, man. Really great guy. So you're in Oregon, right?
Yep. I'm in
How's
Portland.
everything? How's everything in your neck of the woods over there?
It's good. I mean, we haven't had any like major issues in a while, so that's nice. It seems like a lot of all the big problems seem to be calming down quite a bit over here, but it's always dark and dreary because it rains here about 3/4 of the year, so there's always overcast and doesn't help the mood very much, but we always look forward to summer.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Sounds kind of like New York, because New York is kind of the same thing. I just took a flight from there to here in Seattle, and it's like I just left a place that is like gray to another place that's gray, which
Yeah.
and I don't mind. I mean, hey, you grow up in that kind of environment. It is what it is. But yeah. So PNW, man, y'all are definitely a different vibe. It's my first time on. I've been in California, but it's my first time in this side of the country, and I gotta say, I like what I've been experiencing, and I'll definitely be back. But enough about me, man. So tell us, man. You know, we gotta talk because you're like 2020 young Lions graduate. Bad luck, Fale. I know that man put y'all through the ringer. You ain't gotta tell me. I know.
Yeah.
But let's start it off with this, man. How did you become a fan of pro wrestling? What was the match or the event that you saw that made you tune in? Every
Mm, I don't know, because I started pretty young, like enjoying it, but I never watched it for like, I'm not like an encyclopedia like almost all wrestlers are.
right.
Really throws people off because they can like list, oh, WrestleMania 17, this, that, and the other thing. Like, I can't do that because when I was watching it, I was just trying to have fun. So, like, for me, what really got me hooked was people like Mankind and Kane and Bret Hart and all these guys because a lot of them came out very differently. So Mankind had the mask, Kane had the fire, Bret Hart was all serious, and I loved everyone for their individual things. And then I started like piecing it together as I grew up. Like, okay, these are very different. This guy's cool. This guy's business. This guy's real serious. This is kind of a goofball over here, but they're all still captivating in their own ways. And it was all just so exciting for me. But as I grew up, I became like a mat wrestler because of my brother, and I loved it, and I hated it at the same time because it was the worst worst pain I've ever been through. But as a young adult, when I decided to start training, I was going to like local shows, and I was seeing what they were doing, and a big part of it was just me thinking, there's a lot of people not really paying attention. I bet I can make them pay attention. And so I'd start training, and then eventually I started doing the shows at the same places, and people started paying attention. They were less looking down, or they were less walking around and talking to their friends. They were watching and they were enjoying. Uh, but it wasn't always like that, because like I constantly fell in and out of love with wrestling. Like I wouldn't watch it for years, and then I'd be hooked for another 5, and then I wouldn't watch it for another one, and have to remember everybody, and get hooked on all the new storylines and all the new faces and all the new people and what everyone's up to. But I mean, thankfully, we have things like Twitter where I can catch up to on news and stuff like immediately. Couldn't do that before because I'm an old man. But I feel like I might have gone off on a tangent there.
Nah, you're fine. You're good. You're good. You're good. So wow. So did your brother ever become a professional wrestler too as well, or did he like
No,
just
no, no, no. He just wrestled in middle school and high school, and then he like hurt his back because of wrestling. So
okay?
he didn't continue doing anything.
Oh, okay, okay. That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, not that it's awesome, but it's awesome that you actually did it. You did it in high school and
Oh
middle
yeah,
school. And I always say, if you have a background in amateur wrestling, you're going to be very successful in pro wrestling. That's what I've seen. You got Kurt
yeah.
Angle.
It makes it a much easier transition. So like, I had my brother with wrestling, and we both also got into taekwondo and karate. And my dad's a former pro boxer, so by default, I had to learn how to box.
Okay.
um, and my mom was also a boxer. She didn't like go pro, but she did like the prize fights and all that. She was pretty dang good.
Woo!
Uh huh. And my dad was also a semi-pro football player. My uncles were all wrestlers and football players and baseball players. Like it's the sporting life. It runs deep, like really deep. So it like what kind of sucked for me though, going back to wrestling, is because of my weight, I got defaulted to a varsity class.
Yeah.
I got real used to losing because I'm wrestling guys that were like 40, 50 pounds heavier than me, and they were just crushing me.
Okay. I thought I heard something. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's Give me 1 second. Give me
Yeah,
one
go ahead.
second. Sorry. My apologies.
No worries. Mm-mm-mm-mm. My face is so dry. Here we go. Oh, it's in the studio. Never mind. Square. I think my man left. He's gone, but can we talk to people? I can't tell. Hmm. I also can't tell if anybody's watching this. If they are, say something. Drop a comment or anything. I just want to see if it pops up. 'Cause then, I mean, while he's doing his thing, we could chat. And yes, this is an Eddie Guerrero shirt. You're right, because he's the best. He is the goat.
Hey, sorry about that, man. I had to fix my connection real quick. It
Hey,
was kind of
all good.
freezing up on my end. My apologies. I apologize to those of you that are reviewing and whatnot. So, so yeah, you said you were playing football in high school.
Oh, I did it. Everything I did was all in middle school because high school I was strictly about studying. Like I was bonehead and just went straight to the books. I didn't do any sports in high school.
Okay. Okay. So, growing up, did you ever get to go to any of the wrestling shows that you watched, like WWE or any of the independent shows in your area?
The closest I got to go, um, which I'm still really fond about, is Sandy Barr's flea market, and
Okay.
he was doing shows, and that's actually where that was one of the many times where I fell in love with wrestling was getting to go watch that live, and I started really liking the local. So this is before I was training too, because my dad also knew Sandy Bar, and I didn't know that until after he'd already died. So,
Okay.
um, but actually, I was going for a long time to watch one of the guys named Critter, and that guy was one of my favorites because he was a big dude, he was a badass, and he was real rough, and he was very serious, and I really liked that. And then if you fast forward, I don't know, 8 years maybe, me and him did a main event match together.
Okay. Wow.
It's crazy getting to wrestle someone that at one point I was idolizing, and then I got to fight him, and it was like it was nuts. And then just recently, just last month, he came to watch me during one of my fights.
Oh, okay.
Like this whole everything came full circle, and I was like, "You're
Yeah.
here? What is this?" Man, it was a great time. We had a moment.
That's the first time I've ever heard a story like that where somebody, was started watching somebody wrestle. They get into wrestling. They end up wrestling that person, and then, now later on, that person is watching them wrestle. So it's yeah, it's definitely full circle, man. That's a crazy yet awesome story. So now, how did your journey go from Derrick Shaw wrestling fan to now Derrick Shaw pro wrestler, who's kicking butt up and down, the Pacific Northwest, doing his thing at Fale Dojo and all that?
Um, The biggest, so it was actually not too long after me and Critter had our match. Um, I had a match with Tina, and it was after that match he pulled me aside and said, "Hey, kid, um, you listen really well. You're a big, tough guy. You seem like you have good coaching behind you. If you had the means and the opportunity, would you seek higher training to get you to the next level?" I'm like, well, of course I would. And that was actually the same night that he extended the offer to come out to the dojo. And
Okay.
I immediately said no. I'm like, that's not happening because I have nothing. Like I don't have the money for that. I don't have a passport. I don't have that time off because I was working full time. And even training and wrestling on the weekends was a stretch because at the time I worked Sunday through Friday. It was a lot of working. And he said, "Well, don't I knew you're probably going to say no, but don't answer it now. Give it a week. Sit on it. If you need to, talk to your bosses. See what you can do." I was like, "Well, okay, but I'm telling you right now, it's probably a no." And I took his advice and I talked to my trainer at the time, was Cameron Starr, and because he's the one that booked the match, and I thanked him endlessly for it, and I still to this day do. And he said the same thing. He's like, figure it out. Talk to who you need to. Talk to your boss. Talk to your roommates. See what you can do. If you need to sell you all your stuff, just do it. Because he was like, I was really hoping that he was going to offer you a moment to go train out there. Like that was the whole reason why I did this. And I sat on it for a week. I talked to my boss. I said, hey, is there any way that I can somehow take 3 months off? Like, do I need to try to like file for a leave of absence or what do I got to do? And my boss was like, I mean, we can't, but because I was a mechanic at the time, he's like, well, we can leave your stuff here. And when you get done, you can just come back. So essentially I'd have to quit, but then they just hire me back on as soon as I came back.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. So like this is crazy. So this is wonderful. And then I followed it up with, is there any chance that I can work overtime? Because at the time they cut out all overtime just to like save money. And he was like, well, you're the only one that I can give it to because I was the only one at the time that was doing shipping and receiving at the same time. So on top of welding and being a mechanic and working fiberglass and doing electrical work on these trailers and stuff that the semis pull up and down the highway, I was also filling them with our stuff like engine parts and whatever. And he actually okayed it because he knew what I was going to do. And I've thanked him so many times since I came back because I ended up not going back to work there because I found a significantly better job as soon as I got back. But I I made all the calls and I ended up like pulling my 401k to help pay for most of the training and room and board because I was dead serious because I wasn't just going to waste this opportunity because at the time you had to apply. You had to like go online, get on their website, fill out essentially like an application and send it in. You couldn't just, hey, I'm coming. Here's the money. Here you go. Like they were kind of picky and choosy about it.
Right.
It almost felt like, I'm not going to call it a boys club, but it definitely felt special to know that I was accepted to come in. Um, we'll fast forward to that because that's kind of when it got a little crazy. Um, by the time I left February 4th, 2020, and I think it was maybe 3 weeks in, and global shutdown happened with COVID,
Right.
and we went from a class of like I think 13 people to 6 because everybody
Ooh,
went. And I was the only American that stayed. Um, and Fale-san took note of that immediately because I could have gone home. The U.S. couldn't have said no. You can stay there. Like I had that availability that if I wanted to go home, they'd have to let me come in. Um, but I opted to stay because in my mind, I didn't want to lose whatever traction I may have been getting. I didn't want to lose out on this opportunity. I just spent all this money and quit my job, did all this stuff. I've already been face down in puddles of tears and sweat and just working my ass off and getting yelled at constantly. I'm not just going home and giving it all up. Like what was the point of me even coming out here then? And even though I stayed, I finished because it's only a 3 month program. I finished the first 3 months, but everything was still shut down. And overseas, it was 10 times worse because New Zealand is not a very big continent or a country. I mean, it's pretty small.
right.
So the islands they tend to take a virus pretty seriously because it's
Mm,
about an entire island. Like let's be real here. So we had it was bad. Like there was always like officers knocking on the door and like squad people up and down the streets. At one point there was like military and tanks on like their freeways and stuff, like patrolling. It
right.
got pretty scary out there. And when I when I first got there and we had like our day one introductions and all that, they were talking about how they had people lined up to come say hi and to watch us train and to give us advice and to offer their own training. So we were supposed to have like people like Jay White, Okada, AJ Styles, and the CEOs and Ishii. All these guys were supposed to come out and say hi and just watch us and take notes. And of course, no one could. So
Wow.
I felt like I felt like COVID like robbed me of my entire reason of being there in the first place. So
Mm,
instead of going home after the first 3 months, I took the I took the advantage of there being a lockdown and I just stayed for another 3. And
okay.
that was something that I had talked about with Tony Kazina, we call him Tony San, and Fale San for days and weeks. Like, hey, I I don't want to stop what I've got. I'm loving this. Um, I feel like I'm finally getting a grasp on this. Is there any way I can stay? Like, I'll do whatever I need to do. And that was actually just slightly before that was when I became essentially an employee of the dojo because they were still like bringing in um, new classes and stuff. So when we would train in the morning, so we'd start our days at like 7 o'clock and we'd be done by about 1, and then most of the day would be just cleaning or preparation, and then we get ready for the night classes, which was outside people, just open to the public, which we still were a part of. Because at the time, we trained a lot different than they do now. So we were training usually 2 to 3 times a day for 6 days.
Yeah.
Our day off was Sunday, and even then, it wasn't a day off because you had to get up, do everything as normal, and to go for a hike. Then come back. Then you have an entire rest of the day to yourself. So it was pretty intense. Like there was when they say no days off, they mean it.
I could imagine because I'm familiar. I'm not gonna say I know Fale Dojo, but I'm familiar with the name. And Fale Dojo, if I'm not mistaken, they're kind of associated with New Japan. I'm not gonna say they are because I don't want people quoting me on that. But the vibe, the feeling I get is that they're associated with New Japan in a sense, as some of their students tend to, do a show or two or maybe even more for New Japan. But
Well, I can
I
fix
can
that.
tell that.
There, they were working on that partnership, and now it's official. They're not just
Oh,
Fale
okay.
Dojo Fale Dojo by themselves. It's actually New Japan Pro Wrestling Fale Dojo. Like they're connected now. Now they're partners.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Thanks.
Now you can say that.
Because I didn't want to say something. Then next thing you know, people start quoting me on that. Then you hear it's false information. Then you hear, oh, Remy Blue's giving people, false information. So that was
Remy
the
point.
vibe
He
that
gets
I got. I'm sorry, I didn't get that last part.
said Remy Blue gets it. He's on point.
But yeah, from the vibe I got, it's like they make you like Fale Dojo. They're one of those places that they make you earn your spot in pro
Hmm.
wrestling. It's like pretty much like the feel I guess like you're pretty much like a young boy over there, as in the
Yep.
same thing in Japan where you wear the black tights, and I like that kind of like I like that kind of system that they have because they're making you earn like your spot. Like you're not gonna just go out there, and teach their own. I'm not judging any wrestling schools, teach their own. But I like how they do it. Like they make you wear the all black. You can't do no flashy moves. The only thing you can do is a Boston Crab as
Hmm.
a finisher. That's it. And then I think after a year or so, okay, you're gonna go on excursion. What kind of style do you like? Or you like lucha libre? Okay, you're gonna go to Mexico. You like the Western style? You're gonna go over to LA or America in general, or you might go to England or if like the technical mat style, and then boom, next thing you know, you graduate, you're good to go. You can wear your own designs for your tights and style yourself however you want. I like how they do that. That makes you earn. To me, that it shows that they make you're earning your spot as a pro wrestler and you value it more. I think
I
that's what that. I mean, maybe I'm missing something, but I think that's the point of it. Like to make you not only earn it but to appreciate it a lot.
no, and I 100% agree with you. And granted, even though I did spend two turns there, which was almost a full calendar year, the whole point of the Fale Dojo is to prepare you so when you do go to Japan and you do go through the New Japan Dojo, nothing is a surprise. You know how to do your greetings, you know how to count, you know how to respond, you know how to address people. You understand how to make the food, you know how to clean, you all of it. You know how to do all the push-ups, you know how to do the squats, you know how to do the sit-ups. Nothing is going to be brand new, so nothing is going to throw you off. You will be prepared. And it's instead of going in blind, he's teaching you everything you need to know to get to the next level without any like hiccups. And that's why the training was borderline militant, because that's what you're going to get when you go over there. It's not going to be, I'm going to hold your hand. Oh, you did it wrong. Sorry. No, they're going to drive you into the dirt because that's the level that you need to be at. You have to be attentive, you have to be smart, you have to be physically fit. Like we didn't touch the ring for 5 weeks when I got there.
Oh
5
wow.
weeks. We didn't touch that ring. It was nothing but hardcore conditioning, cardio, shoot wrestling on the floor, and any drill you can think of. Everything we did was outside of the ring. We'd do like a couple rolls and maybe some bumps and then get right out. Like it was one of those, like you had to earn it. It
That's
was
awesome.
that was probably that might have been like my only gripe when I first got there, because I think it was just because I was so excited and I wanted to prove something. Because when I got there, I was the oldest by an average of 10 years. Uh,
Okay.
I was the third heaviest, and I had the most. wrestling experience, but I didn't have um, the most like travel time because almost everyone there had been like a WWE extra or some sort of like I can't think of the word. I can't think of the word. Some other high value thing. Um, but when it came to the wrestling, even though I was one of the oldest and I was one of the heaviest, I was still like doing circles on most of these people. And it was like the one thing I had, so I took it and ran with it. Because a lot of these guys, they would blast through the push-ups and the squats and all that, and I'm dying, I'm suffocating, I'm crying, I'm pissed off, and I'm trying to like fight through wanting to quit every single day. And these these guys are just like, oh, it's normal for us. Like, oh, we got this. Because I definitely didn't go there in the best shape. And I knew that. And I knew that that was going to bite me in the ass. And it definitely did. But it definitely also created a mental toughness that will probably never break for the remainder of my life. Because I knew what it's like, and I know what it's like to go from zero to hero and every step in between it. And it's not fun, but it's extremely rewarding if you do it. But that was that's also why, because I didn't go to New Japan, I didn't do any tours, but that is exact. And I tell people all the time because they're like, oh, you need to wear knee pads, and I look them dead in the eye and I'm like, I haven't earned them yet. I haven't. I know that's what everybody does. They wear knee pads. Well, where I come from, you have to earn them. Yeah, I wore them before, but this new training, that's my one way. Besides wearing the black and not wearing the knee pads or the elbow pads, like that's how I remind people that I'm still a young lion and I'm still a young boy. I still offer to hold people's stuff, and I think any people should be doing that more often, anyways. Just as a gesture and a sign of respect. Like, hey, anyone above them, do you need help? Because I see that less and less and less, um, which kind of blows my mind. But that's a different story. But that's how I remind people of my status. That yeah, I'm still working to get these things. I haven't been told I've earned them yet. So until then, I'm gonna keep doing it this way, and it doesn't bother me one bit. I don't have any like frustration about it. I'm not bitter. I'm not I'm not blowing these guys up like, hey, when do I get my stuff? Like I just wait. I wait because that's exactly it. It's all part of the training. It's all part of paying the dues. So I know one day they'll either give me the thumbs up or they won't, and I'm okay with that.
That's cool, man. I got a gut feeling that I'm not gut feeling. I know that the way you're doing, eventually you're gonna get there, and you're definitely gonna get those knee pads, and you're gonna get everything. And next thing you know, I'm like, yo, we just had him on the show, man. Yeah, the man did it, man. He made it happen, man. You know what I'm saying? The honorary Tongan, the adaptation specialist, from Fale Dojo is in the big time now, man. We've had people on this show. I don't know if you've seen our record, but we've had some people, not a lot, that actually have ended up getting signed by AEW and WWE.
Nice.
Roxanne Perez and Amari Miller, and even I don't know if you know this guy, Danny Limelight. He got signed to MLW. So yeah, we've had them on the show, and we're very happy with their success and so on. And so speaking of the honorary Tongan, when I first saw it, I thought you were Tongan, but then when I saw the bio, I was like honorary Tongan. So I'm thinking he's either Fijian. I'm not, and I don't mean to get it wrong, but something if he's not if he's honorary Tongan, he can't be a Tongan if he's honorary Tongan. I mean, yeah, something is either Fijian or Samoan. And my first guess was Fijian. Was I correct or was I like way off?
None of them.
Oh,
Zero,
okay.
zero. Which was probably the coolest thing about going to New Zealand in the first place was I slid into the culture without even trying, and they didn't. So they know for a fact that if you're there, if you're from there, or if you're an islander, immediately. And everyone thought that I was either American Samoan or that I was Tongan until I would speak. And they would hear the accent, they're like, wait a second, this doesn't add up. But because of it, most of the people that were there were either Australian, from the Midwest in the US to the East Coast, or they were locals from out there. So they knew that everyone in there wasn't from there except for like one guy. And he was very proudly someone, like, every day he wore the stuff. But the locals would treat these guys a certain way, and most of the time it wasn't very pleasant. But with me, it's like, oh yeah, hey, come here, you. It was so good. And then that's kind of how I got it, because like, um, I was trying to like, I try to stay busy while I was there, and just being as helpful as I possibly can. And in doing so, I got really close with Fale-san to the point where I became like his personal driver and his chef. And just spending so much time with him and his family, that's kind of how that came around. Was he kind of dubbed me like, oh yeah, you're an honorary Tongan, because I was around all his family, all the a lot of the dojo members, like the outside public, a lot of them were either Tongan or local Maori.
Right.
But even then, like, everyone just assumed, because out there was way more sun, so I was a bit more tan. And I mean, I look good with a tan, but everyone was like, "Oh yeah, he's definitely an islander," until I would talk. They're like, "Wait, you're not even from here." So it was kind of nice, like, to more or less earn that little nickname, or almost like a status, like an honorary person. It felt good, because it added normalcy in a country I knew nothing about, and in a culture that was so heavily mixed that I didn't know what was happening most of the time, because you'd have Samoans talking, Tongans talking, Maoris talking, Kiwis talking, Aussies talking, Fijians talking, and there's like a few other islands that I can't remember right now. And a lot of the language sounds similar, but they're also very clearly not. But they're all so beautiful. It's such a beautiful language. The island language is so fun to listen to. But it's crazy because, like, when Tongans talk, most of these people are like 6'2" up to 6'7", and they're like 290 pounds, 300 pounds, and the language is so soft. And you look at these guys, and the women and the men, they're just built like tanks, and they speak such a beautiful language. I expect it to be so much more firm and aggressive, but it's so playful and light. It's just it was great, because even the dojo's directly connected to a gym right behind it,
Mhm.
and it's called Nesian Fitness, for like Polynesian. And you go in, and on the speakers are just blasting like island music, which is usually just a bunch of love songs.
Right.
And you got guys in there that are like 6'9", 290, the biggest boulder shoulders and chests in the world, and they're just jamming out, doing these 1,000-pound deadlifts, just going crazy. And I'm like, this is insane. This is so wild. And then you go there, and you're the biggest in the class, but when you go next door, you're the smallest person in the world. And it was great, because one time me and Father-son went over there just because we were killing time, and we walked in, and he like gives me like a big elbow to the shoulder. He goes, "Hey, welcome to the land of monsters, huh?" And I was like, "You're so correct," because he's not small himself. I mean, you've seen him.
Oh
He's a
yeah.
big
Oh yeah.
dude.
I have, I mean no disrespect towards the Polynesian culture, but I'm a big dude. I consider myself a big. I'm 5'9", I think 260 pounds. I have never seen a Samoan or a Tongan that has been smaller than me. They've always been bigger than me, and I'm like, I saw this one guy. I remember when I was stationed in Japan, and I was at a club in Fukuoka, which is like a big Japanese city, which wasn't far from our base. And I saw this guy at the bar, and I'm like, so we're talking, and I'm like, dude, where are you from, man? He's like, Tonga. I'm like, dude, and this guy was like taller than me and like broader than me. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
I would not want to get in a fight with you, man. I would, man, if I would just forfeit, dude, I'd be like, dude, just take the win, man. I'm out. I ain't got time to mess my face up. But the ones I've met, they've been like cool, chill people. They've been
Oh,
like chill, like, and I even shocked them because I always tell them like, I know your country's motto. Or really, what's your motto? I'm like, they're like, oh, tu matanga ko kutofia. They're like, what? I'm
what?
like, don't worry, I know Samoa's on. What's Samoa's on? Fave lei atua Samoa. They're like, dude, where'd you learn that from? But
Yeah,
I'm just like,
they'll get real hype.
I just tend to like just look at things and if I like I had a friend who's I have a friend who's Samoan, and I've learned like because of her I learned like a couple words like on my own. Like I know how to say like hello, how are you? I think I know how to say good evening in Samoan. I only know one thing in Tongan, and that's tali tali fier fieri, and that's welcome. Um, but yeah, it's they're really cool. I like their cultures, and especially when they go on the field and they get hyped with the war dance. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
yo, that's awesome, man. That's definitely motivation right there.
That was one thing. Speaking of which, that was one thing that I was so upset. We were learning a dojo haka, and then and that's like we were talking about the war dance called hakas, and the guy that was teaching us couldn't keep coming because of lockdowns.
Right.
So we'd only done like we did a class, and I think it was only for like an hour and a half, and we got like these first couple basic things down, but he had to like drill us into the motions first, and then he couldn't come back. And it was like one of their best friends, but that was what they wanted to teach us, and I was so hyped about it because I was gonna take it and use it in every single match for every entrance I ever had, and we didn't get one, and I was so oh man, I was so upset about that. Mm.
Yeah, those dances are cool. If I was ever a wrestler, I'd get permission first. I don't want nobody to think, oh, you're appropriating our culture, and da, 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 da. I definitely make sure I get like permission. Then I'd start using it. That way if anybody says, oh, but no, but he said I could use it. I mean, so what's going on? But yeah, those dances are very cool. I like the one the Usos did. That one was pretty smooth as well too.
Oh yeah, I missed that. I love that because that made me
Matao.
super hype.
Yeah. So I just got a couple more questions.
Mm-hmm.
So now lockdown's over. I've seen a couple of your matches, man. You put a hurting on. Like I saw you had this. I think it was Pat Large was his name. Caught the guy with a reverse. It looked like you were putting him in a reverse DDT, and you got some power, you man. You flipped the guy over, bam, made it look smooth. I know. I can't do that because one, I'd probably mess myself up and the guy I'm trying to lift over. But you made that move look smooth, man. And then I saw the match of you and Jaden. You beat that man like you were like, look, man, I know you're a superhero, but this ain't no comic book. I'm here for business. You gonna learn today. And he
Oh,
got the win, but he didn't leave unscathed. I mean, he did the little one wing angel type thing, and he got the win. I guess he found power somewhere, and he pulled it off. I don't think he's gonna be lucky again though, because you might be ready. Definitely gonna be ready for him. But so who are your next top? Who are your top five that you want to wrestle? In the near future, they could be from anywhere: AEW, WWE, Impact, the Indies. Like,
mhm.
who do you want to go one on one with?
Uh, well, one of them I already know is coming true, and that's March 4th. I've got Adam Brooks. And I've been really excited about that because I've been so earlier today I did a workout and it was cardio and back because this guy I already know he's gonna try and run circles around me, so I gotta be ready for that. And I've already had a ton of the Australian guys that were at the dojo with me, like, "Oh, you going against Brooksy? Yeah, let's go." So I want to do right by them. So I'm glad he's coming up. And I've seen him wrestle a lot of people around here and locally, and I see what he can do, and I'm excited to try to keep up with this guy. But I
Isn't he
mean,
the one? I don't mean to cut you. Isn't he the one that was part of the Blue Nation? That was stable with him, Charlie Evans, and Jessica. I forgot her last name. It was him and two girls that were in the stable.
no, I'm not sure.
I could be wrong, but yeah,
Hmm.
I've definitely heard of Adam Brooks though. He's from Australia. He actually was trained by Buddy Murphy apparently.
Ooh, he's a hard hitter. Okay. um,
Yeah.
I know Jeff Cobb has always been extremely high up on my list because he was another
Okay.
one first started training that I was watching religiously, um, as well as like I mean continuing with United Empire, uh, Aaron Hanare, because I got the privilege to work out and train with him at the dojo, and my God, this guy, whoo, he's fast, he's smart, he's cunning, he's extremely strong. Oh man, I think that'd be great. I mean, obviously, I'd always want to wrestle my teachers, so I'd love to have a match with Fale Son. I don't care where. Um, as well as like, I think I've always wanted to have a match with Josh Alexander.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that
that's a
would be a
tough
tough.
one. That's a tough one, but I think that would be that's pretty high up on my list too. Him and Jeff Cobb are way up there. And I don't know if it's just like the wrestler in me because they're both wrestlers. Like Jeff Cobb was an Olympic wrestler, but I don't know. I just think I could learn so much from them. Even if I lose, like I guarantee I'd walk away with tremendous amounts of knowledge, and I look forward to that kind of stuff.
Josh Alexander. I remember him from back in the day in Ring of Honor.
Hmm.
It's funny you mentioned him because, and this is why I always, this is why I, we do this because we don't care who you are. We don't care if you make it to the big time or not. But the fact that you go in the ring and put on a show for us, that's enough for us to say, hey, we want to hear your story. And with him now, this was like a year before we started as a brand. So we started 2013. So I knew of him in 2012, and I used to share a lot of stuff on Facebook, and he liked it and so on. And when I looked at his profile, I'm like, this guy looks like he's ready for the big time. This guy looks like he's gonna be a star, and he's liking a lot of stuff that and commenting on stuff that I post on Facebook and whatnot. Fast forward, like I think a year, the following year or next 2 years, I see him in Ring of Honor. I'm like, yo, that's Josh Alexander. Him and Ethan Page. I'm
Yep.
like, yo, he was just on Facebook, you know, the other day liking stuff for me, and I'm like, wow, I'm glad for him, man. And that man blew it out of the water. I'm like, they better watch out for this guy. And now that was a 2014. Now several years later, the Mass Impact World Champion. But I'm hoping he actually gets to do more stuff, um, big time. Because I understand his impact, but still, I mean, it's like I like to see him in AEW, WWE. Because I don't know. It's just like you get a wider scale of people watching you and so on.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'm very glad for him. But I hope that match happens for you, man, because that would be to me when I see that that would be pretty much power versus mat ability. Brute
Yeah.
force and power versus mat ability. Like who's gonna come out alive?
So I feel like I mean I got a lot of people I'd love to step in the ring with. I mean Jay Lethal's obviously one of them too. He's one of those that just has so much gas in the tank, man. Jeez, this guy can go forever. But gosh, there's such a huge learning tree, and there's so many people I either just want to be around or just be able to get involved with in some aspect, even if it's just sharing a locker so I can talk to them or whatever the case may be. But obviously, wrestling them is a much higher um, sought after thing that I would rather have, because then I can continue it from there and be like, hey man, what do you think about this? Or you're at this point in your life, how can I get there? Because I really see what you're doing and I like it, you know, and just picking brains. Like I'm really glad that I get to see this guy often, but like Davey Richards, I get to talk to him all the time, and I absolutely love it because it's like he's so open and he's very direct, and he doesn't hold back, and that's the kind of stuff that I'm looking for, because that's how guys like us grow, even if we're not getting like all the huge opportunities. Like that's a huge opportunity to get to talk to someone like this who's been everywhere, and that's the kind of stuff like you just soak it up like a sponge and just run with it, and that's what I'm all about.
That's cool that you get to talk to Davey Richards as well. So Davey Richards, um, definitely a guy I never, get bored with seeing.
Same.
He brings the intensity. He brings 110% in every match that he has, and yeah, the guy is definitely a beast in that ring. So judging from your story, you going to New Zealand, Fale Dojo, and learning to train, and you know, um, several other things you said. Would it be safe to say that that's where the adaptations, the nickname, the adaptation specialist, your other nickname comes in as well too? Like whatever is placed in front of you, you adapt and you master it as well.
Yeah, it was it kind of came about because like when I first started wrestling it was all like power stuff, and then I started wrestling more high fly people. So I adapted to that because I couldn't just powerhouse all these guys because they were much faster than me. And then I started wrestling more technical people, and then I started um, taking bits and pieces of all these things and realizing that I'm not one dimensional. Like it doesn't matter who I'm put up against. Like I can adjust. Like yeah, I have my style. I have my powerhouse like roughneck all business. I don't give a crap about you. I'm gonna do what I do. But I know that doesn't work on everybody. Like with like luchas, I have to be a little more lucha than powerhouse, and I can switch it. With technical people, I can kind of intermingle the powerhouse into the technical because then I can probably put them in a better hold. But it's like powerhouse stuff is my favorite because that's that New Japan style that I love, where we just beat the crap out of each other, and then
Right.
you add the technicality into it, and it just gets even better. So like that's kind of where it came from. Is I don't say no to matches because I can match anybody, and I'm super proud of that because that's something I've worked on for so many years.
Awesome. So I just got, I just got two more questions before we wrap it up. So my second to last question is, when you're getting ready to work out in the gym, and by the way, congrats on, I saw a picture you had of a before and after. Man, I'm sorry for your next set of opponents. Now, I don't think they're ready for you, but good luck on that. Keep up the great work with, the workouts and whatnot. Um,
That was 50 pounds, by the way.
hey, congrats on that, man. I know it wasn't easy. I've worked out a lot before. Sometimes 6 days. When I was in the Navy, I used to work out a lot. So trust me, I know. And it's not just physical; it's mental. You got to will yourself too.
Oh yeah.
And I always tell people that, to me, I don't know about you, but to me, the hardest part is getting to the gym. The workouts are
Yep.
anything. Eventually, I'll
Yep.
get used to it, but it's just, it's Tuesday. I really don't want to go to the gym, but I gotta go to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yep.
gonna feel bad if I don't go to the gym.
Yep. Because you get pulled in all directions. You get your friends blowing you up. Hey, come party. Let's go do this. You got, if you're anything like me, I love to play Call of Duty with my friends, and you got them hitting you up too. Hey, let's get these headshots in. And I'm like, oh man, I gotta go do back and buys though.
Yeah,
I get it. I get it.
it's not
It's
easy.
1,000. It's way more mental than it is anything else. Because as soon as you get there, it's easy to check out because it's all just muscle memory at that point, and your body just goes to work on its own.
Yeah. Yeah, I always tell people like once you the hardest part is getting to the gym. Once you get to the gym, everything else is gonna fall in. Because you get to the gym, you're not gonna turn back. You're
Yeah,
definitely not
you're
gonna
already
turn.
there.
If you go to the gym and you if you go to the gym to work out and you make a U-turn, unless it's for like an emergency, something is definitely wrong with you.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's the hardest part is just getting yourself there. But not to digress, what are some songs that or some music or some artists that you listen to get that workout and to get that rep in, to get that cardio done, or when you're getting ready for a match? What are some songs that get you into the zone to get ready for that match?
Oh man, I am all over the place. Like if you were to look at, yeah, I still use Pandora. Sue me. Um, if you were to look at my Pandora list, it's everything from like doo-wop music to 90s techno, and I'm talking like La Bouche Radio, and there's, oh my goodness, there's like Lindsey Sterling is a big one, huge one. I'll blast her all the time. I don't know if you know, she's the plays the violin and does like dubstep music.
I've never heard of her, but I'll look into her though.
Oh, trust me, you're gonna love it. She's intense. Lindsey Sterling, she's probably one of my top listened to. Um, Young Gravy is an easy go to for me just because he does a lot of comedy, but he does a ton of rap. Um, what else? MGK is another one. Um, let's see.
Wait, rap MGK or metal or rock
Yeah,
MGK?
the I have the Wild Boy Radio specifically because I don't really care for his rock style. Granted, that's what he wanted to do in the first place. That's fine. I prefer the rap because it gets me hype. Like I got Daddy Yankee. Just it's all like hard hitting, heavy bass type stuff. But at the same time, I'm listening to island jams and tons of love songs, and they all get me just as equally hype, if not more, when I'm working out, which is crazy. But I mean, it is what it is. Like
Yeah, whatever.
today the hitters. I don't remember this guy's name because I just found this song. Um, but the hitter today was Diplo and French Montana and Lil Pump. Welcome to the party. It's from Deadpool 2 soundtrack.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
him, Waka Flocka, Post Malone, Russ, Lil Wayne, and this is I don't know if you just spell his name out, but it's JVKE, and the song's called Golden Hour.
Mm.
It's a love song, but it hits super hard, and I feel like it's one of those where if you sing it hard enough, you'll probably cry and you won't know why.
Okay.
It takes over. But yeah, like that's pretty much it. I'll start with like pretty hardcore stuff, and I'll either switch to my own music or I'll switch it up to like the doo wop station or something, or some kind of like golden oldies, Beach Boys kind of stuff.
Okay. Okay. Hey, I always say whatever gets whatever gets the movements going.
Oh yeah,
Like I think I pissed off the gym I used to go to because my playlist was all over the place too. Like one minute you'll hear okay till my what was it till I collapse by Eminem, and
yeah,
then you hear some Seven Dust, but then all of a sudden I do a whole 180 and I got I really like you by Carly Rae Jepsen on
yep,
there, and then I got some mashup like I got a mashup of Craig David's one of my favorite artists, Craig David, and somebody else who doing a mashup of his songs. And I think one time somebody was like, "Hey, who's in charge of the Bluetooth?" And me now being kind of like ashamed. That was like I had my headphones in and I was on the stationary bike and I just kept pedaling. I didn't answer. I didn't say anything. I was just like because I gave them that impression
it
that
wasn't me, I swear.
if he has his headphones on, obviously he's not the one that's in charge of it. So yeah, They weren't too happy about that. But yeah, man. I mean, whatever gets you moving, you know.
Oh yeah, like I mean, Ariana Grande has got me through some of the hardest workouts I've ever done.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like she's done it. I mean, I listen to grunge and metal, screamo, emo music too, and it all works just the same. They all
Ah,
they all get me going. I love it all.
so my last question is, let's say somebody, walks up to you and is like, Derek, man, your ring work is awesome. You know, I like what you're doing, man. I want to take the same path as you. I want to go to the Fale Dojo and train. Um, what advice, and let's say they do get accepted, what advice would you give that person um, for their time there? What to expect and how to get through the time being there and so on.
I'd ask a few questions first. I would always ask someone, how well do you take advice, and how are you with being told what to do often? Because if you're uncoachable, then don't go. Because they're gonna tell you what to do. Because like even when I went, I've been trained for a long time, but when I went, I also had to learn the Japanese way, and it's not the same. So going in with my knowledge and then having to learn a whole new way of doing things kind of messed me up. And yeah, there were days where I'd want to fight it and say, no, this is how you do it. But that's not why I'm there. I'm there to learn, not to argue. So I would definitely ask people first, how are you with taking direction and being told what to do? And if they're okay with it, then I would strongly suggest start doing squats every single day, because that's what you're going to be doing anyways. And get used to doing them consecutively. Don't stop. So even if that means you can only do 50, then do 50 in a row until you can get to 100. And then when you get to 100, do 150, then 200. Because you're looking at, I mean, let's be real, you're doing 1,000 squats a day easily. And that's consecutive. There's no breaks, there's no stopping. You don't do your first 250, then stop and then stretch. No, it's 0 to 1,000, start to finish. That's it. Definitely
Okay.
do work on squats and start doing cardio, like just going for little jogs and whatnot. And even if you can't jog yet, you power walk and then you get your jog in there. You burst it, because these are all things that are expected, and you will get them done because it's expected, and it's as a group too. So it's not just you, it's the whole group is affected. So get used to talking to your peers. If you're inclusive, that's fine. Just know that you have to communicate, because these are your people for 3 months.
Awesome.
So like
So
it's one of those where you're gonna get pushed and you're gonna get really uncomfortable. You're going to get angry, but it's so extremely rewarding, because it's at one point, like even for me, I remember celebrating the day that I did the cardio without stopping. I did the push-ups without stopping, and I did all the squats without stopping. And it was one day, because the next day I couldn't do it. But 2 days after that, I could do it. And those next 2 days, for every day going forward, I was always able to get it done. And that's just how it is. Like your body changes, it adapts. Adaptation specialist. You adapt because you have to.
there
That's
you
how you
go.
live. That's just how it goes. Like it's going to be hard and you're going to think, "Oh, I can't do this," but you have to believe in your body, because it will get you through it. It will. It's just how it is, because it will adapt. It's like, "Oh no, we're doing this now and we're doing it all the time." Well, okay. It's like you said, it's just like getting to the gym. It's 1,000% mental. You just have to show up ready. That's it, because your body will take care of you.
Awesome. So for those of y'all that are listening and watching and intend to, get into, the Fale Dojo, if you get it, if you get accepted, you just got some advice from a student that's actually there. So, you know, just remember that. Anything else, feel free to ask him. He might charge you. I don't know. I don't know how he does it, but hey, you know, definitely you got a little something from him right now. So um definitely take note of that. But I gotta say, Derek, it was an honor to have a student from the Fale Dojo on our show, and just an honor to have you on here as well too. We appreciate you, taking time out of your busy schedule, to appear on our show and shoot the breeze with us. And we wish you, nothing but the best in your wrestling career. We hope to get to face all the people you want to face, and hope you definitely get to, get to see a New Japan or AEW or WWE or Impact. Best believe if I see that, I'll definitely be like, yo, we just had him on the show. He made it. I'll definitely be cheering, man, because we like to see people work hard and get, rewarded for it. That's what we enjoy. And, you know, we'll definitely be rooting for you, man.
I
So
appreciate that. Means a lot.
no problem, man. So, before we shut this show down, I gotta ask you, where can fans find you on social media when they want to find out any experiences, purchase, Derrick Shaw merchandise, and where can bookers and promoters find you when they want to book you for their shows?
Um, I like to hang out on Twitter and Instagram. I do have Facebook, but I never use it. Only because traffic on Facebook has like almost come to a complete stop, so that's pointless. Instagram, however, and Twitter, you should just be able to just search Derrick Shaw as it's spelled right here. If not, on Twitter, it's at PNW Honey Badger, and on Instagram, it's Full Swing Lariat. And I
Oh,
post on my story constantly. I post a lot of motivational tweets and videos, and I share a lot. And that's with even places that I don't know anything about. I'm all about building to the next thing. So that's the students that I train with, promotions that are nearby, or promotions that I've never even heard of. It's all about paying it forward. It's not about, oh, where can I sneak my way into the next? No, no, no. That's old. That's snake stuff. It's all love for me. We're all in this together. We're all in the same business. So come on.
yeah. So y'all definitely make sure y'all follow this incredible man. He's doing a lot of great things, and also follow Bad Luck Fale. I mean, y'all
Yep.
know him as the big guy
Follow
on
the dojo.
Follow Fale Dojo and follow Bad Luck Fale. And make sure you follow him on TikTok. Because I can tell you right now, y'all may know him as, the big bad, the general on Bullet Club. But if you, and he's probably going to kick my butt for putting his business out there, even though it's on TikTok. But if you look at his TikTok, he gives a lot of motivational
Life advice
speeches.
too. Yeah,
And he is that damn good at it.
he's that guy. I look forward to his videos every single day.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely enjoy them, man. When I first saw it, I was like, what? Bad luck, big bad guy that had Finn Balor on his shoulder. This guy said, oh, wow, that's cool, man. But y'all definitely make sure you follow Bad Luck Fale as well, and the Fale Dojo, and check out the great things that they're doing over there as well. And like I said, if you can't make the shows that Derek is at, definitely make sure you cop some of his merchandise he has. You know, that's, by the way, I like how you got the PNW Honey Badger, because I saw one show and the guy was like, you know why I like the Honey Badger, because the Honey Badger doesn't give a shit. And he
Yep.
was like, I was like, you're right. The Honey Badger has no chill. Like, he will fight anybody. He'll fight a lion and all too, even though he's outmatched. So
That's how it
yeah,
came up. Like I said, I never said no to anything. I was like, I don't care who you are. Let's go.
yeah. So y'all definitely make sure you should. I think you should definitely make that your thing, man. The Honey Badger, Derrick Shaw. The PNW. I think you're onto something with that, man. Like, trust me, I'll definitely buy the shirt with that too, man. But y'all definitely make sure you follow Derek. He's doing incredible things, great things. He's on a phenomenal journey, and make sure you follow him on it as well too. He's doing great things. Derek, I wish you nothing but the best, sending positive vibes, and best wishes your way. Definitely hope you make the big time as well. And with that being said, it's about time for us to shut this show down. My eyelids are getting heavy. My stomach is rumbling. That means it's time for dinner and a nap. Maybe not in that order, but before I partake in those activities, if you want to find me on social media, not that I say a lot of cool stuff, You can actually find me on Twitter and Instagram at the Remy Blue. You can also find me on on Facebook under the alias Remy Blue as well. But if you want to see me on my crazy adventures, I highly recommend you check me out mostly on Instagram. You know, that's where you see a lot of stuff like my trip to Seattle and so on. Um, and our podcast is also on social media. We're on Twitter and Instagram at Ringside Society, Twitch at Ringside Society 2019. We're on Facebook as a Facebook group. We're also on Spotify, and we also have a Teespring store right now where we sell official Ringside Society merchandise. We have T-shirts, we have tank tops, we have long sleeve shirts, we have hoodies, we even have pillows, and we also have coffee mugs for your favorite warm beverage. And we have several different designs, including one for our Louisiana listeners, our Louisianans, our Cajuns who are celebrating Mardi Gras tomorrow. We have our Mardi Gras apparel as well too, so definitely check it out as well. All proceeds from those sales go back into keeping our show afloat. They do not go back into our pockets. I trust you that. Trust me, I'm not making any money off of this, but I still love it because it's my passion. And last but not least, we also have a YouTube channel where we have a lot of cool, episodes like this one, like the one we had with Charlie Avell a couple of years ago, the Flaming Aces, Amira Squirrel, King Naja. And as a matter of fact, I'm feeling so happy right now, man. It must be Seattle. I don't know. I'm feeling happy all of a sudden and cheerful. But this, no, not this Friday. As a matter of fact, I know you probably know this guy. March 3rd, we'll be having referee Brad Lee from Oregon Pro Wrestling. He'll be on our show as well too. So make sure y'all watch out for that. And with that being said, um, we just want to thank you. I just want to thank you by tuning in live tonight. We really and truly appreciate it. We strive. We, myself, Kathy Knight, and Rob Bass, we strive on being one of the best wrestling podcasts a wrestling fan could and should listen to, and we will keep doing that as well too. We will not stop. And to those of y'all that are going to listen later on when you get a chance, thank you very much in advance. And those y'all that hate us, can't stand us, really and truly wish we'd go away and take our merch with us. Well, like myself at the Gordon Corral, we're not going anywhere for a while. And last but not least, we just want to let everybody know that we're very well and that we're here at Ringside Society, that everybody and their grandparents and their parents have a podcast. But we're not your grandparents' podcast. We're not your parents' podcast. As a matter of fact, we're not just any podcast. So I'm going to say it like this: one time for the mind, one time for the people, one time for the wrestling culture, one time for Bad Luck Fale and the Fale Dojo, and one time for the New Japan Fale Dojo 2020 Young Lion graduate, the adaptation specialist, the adaptation specialist, the honorary Tongan, and the PNW Honey Badger. It's not a joke either. I'm not making fun. That animal's a serious animal. Derrick
It's
Shaw.
serious.
We're the Wrestling Fans Podcast, Ringside Society. And with that being said, we'll be back with another impressive episode with another impressive guest. But until then, we just want y'all to do 4 favors for us. Stay safe, stay healthy, be excellent to each other, and party on, dudes. We out. Peace.